Is procrastination stealing your life? Your step-by-step guide to overcoming procrastination and achieving your dreams. Are you tired of feeling stuck, like you're always putting things off, even the stuff you really want to do? You know procrastination is holding you back, right? It's that voice in your head that says later, tomorrow, not now. But later never comes. Tomorrow turns into never, and not now becomes not ever achieving your dreams. Think about what you're missing out on because of procrastination. Is it that promotion you've been working towards, or maybe the chance to finally start your own business? Could it be achieving your health goals, or even just spending more quality time with the people you love? Procrastination isn't just a bad habit, it's stealing your life piece by piece. It's taking away your time, your energy, your potential. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. You can break free. You can take control. This book is your step-by-step guide. We're going to show you exactly how to stop procrastinating, start acting, and finally start living the life you were meant to live. Are you ready to take back your life? Let's get started. Part 1. Unmasking the procrastination thief, understanding the enemy and how it operates. Welcome to Part 1. To beat procrastination, we first need to see it clearly. Think of this part as becoming a detective in your own life. We're not just guessing anymore. We're going to understand exactly how procrastination works and how it's working against you. First, we'll ask the tough question: is procrastination truly stealing pieces of your life? We'll uncover the hidden costs you might not even realize. Then we'll decode the mystery of why we procrastinate. It's not laziness, and it's not a simple fix. We'll explore the real roots. Finally, we'll get personal, identifying your unique triggers and patterns. Knowledge is your first weapon. In Part 1, we unmask the procrastination thief, understand its methods, and get ready to take back control. Chapter 1, The Procrastination Question. Is it stealing your life? Let's get straight to the point. Take a deep breath and really ask yourself these questions honestly from the depths of your heart. Are you truly, deeply satisfied with the direction your life is heading right now? When you picture your ideal future, the one that sets your soul on fire, are you actively, confidently marching towards it, day after day? Or does that vision feel hazy, distant, almost like a beautiful dream that's slowly fading as you wake up to reality? Consider the things you deeply desire, the goals that call to you in quiet moments, the aspirations that excite you. Maybe it's finally launching that business idea you've been nurturing for years, writing that book that's been swirling in your mind, mastering a skill that could unlock a whole new chapter of your life, or perhaps most fundamentally, prioritizing your own health and well-being, feeling truly vibrant and alive. Now ask yourself honestly, are you taking consistent, meaningful steps towards these important goals? Are you building momentum, gaining traction, feeling that exhilarating sense of progress? Or do those dreams feel perpetually stuck, like they are trapped behind an invisible barrier, always just tantalizingly out of reach, no matter how hard you wish or hope. If you're truly honest with yourself, if you look past the excuses and distractions, can you identify the real obstacle holding you back? What is that unseen force, that subtle yet powerful resistance, that consistently holds you back from seizing those dreams, from transforming them from wishful thinking into tangible, breathtaking reality? What is it deep down that you know is standing in your way? The answer for so many of us, and maybe for you too, is that incredibly common, yet profoundly frustrating and self-defeating habit: procrastination. But before we dive deeper into solutions, let's take a moment to truly understand what procrastination is, and equally importantly, what it fundamentally is not. It's crucial to dispel the common misconception right away. Procrastination is not simply laziness. Let's be crystal clear on this point. Laziness, in its purest form, is choosing deliberate rest and relaxation when you've genuinely earned it, when you've put in the work and deserve to recharge your batteries. Laziness can actually be healthy and necessary for balance. However, procrastination operates from a completely different and far more complex psychological space. It's a much deeper, more insidious, and ultimately more damaging struggle. Procrastination is characterized by a profound internal conflict. It's knowing that you need to complete a task, but feeling anxious about it, whether it's a critical work project with a looming deadline, a vital health checkup you've been avoiding, a personal passion project that truly excites you, or even just mundane household chores that are piling up. You recognize the importance. You understand the consequences of inaction, and perhaps on some level, you even genuinely desire to tackle the task, to experience the satisfaction of completion, to move closer to your goals. But despite this conscious awareness and even desire, you inexplicably hit an invisible wall. You feel paralyzed, unable to initiate, utterly incapable of getting that initial momentum going, that first push to overcome inertia. It's almost as if there's a mischievous, deeply ingrained voice residing within the recesses of your mind, a cunning and persuasive master of elaborate delay tactics. This voice smoothly, almost seductively, whispers tempting reassurances like, "Oh, don't worry about it now, you've still got plenty of time. You can totally get to it later." In the immediate moment, these whispers can sound so incredibly reasonable, so utterly convincing, so deceptively comforting. They offer temporary relief from the task. But deep down, a wiser part of you already knows the truth. You know that later often morphs into never. Tomorrow becomes a mythical land that never quite arrives on the calendar. And not now, that seemingly harmless postponement, slowly but surely, imperceptibly transforms into not ever achieving your dreams, not ever realizing your full potential. Procrastination is about choosing the easy comfort of now over the long-term rewards of the future, the temporary, superficial relief of skillfully avoiding an uncomfortable or challenging task, over the profound, lasting fulfillment and deeply meaningful rewards that come from pursuing and achieving your long-term aspirations. It's a consistent, often unconscious, trade-off, sacrificing what truly matters most in your life, your bigger, more significant goals and values, for the sake of indulging in whatever feels easiest, most immediately pleasurable, or least demanding in the fleeting moments of the here and now. Now let's be clear. On the surface, in those initial moments of choosing to procrastinate, the act can genuinely feel deceptively harmless, even liberating. So what if I just spend another hour mindlessly scrolling through social media? You might casually rationalize to yourself, seeking to minimize the impact of your choice. What's the big deal if I indulge in binge-watching one more episode instead of tackling that project? In the moment, these choices feel small, inconsequential. But those little moments, those seemingly insignificant decisions, have a way of accumulating. They compound over time, like tiny drops of water eventually carving out a canyon. And the true costs of procrastination are far more substantial, far more damaging than you might initially realize. It's definitely about missed deadlines and potentially lower grades or a stalled career. But it goes so much deeper. Procrastination relentlessly steals opportunities. Think of that promotion you didn't quite prepare for because you kept putting off honing your skills or practicing your presentation. Consider that exciting business venture you never launched because the fear of starting, of facing the unknown, felt too overwhelming. Reflect on that valuable skill you always dreamed of learning, playing an instrument, speaking a new language, mastering coding, but never quite got around to starting. These are tangible losses, real doors that close because of procrastination's subtle sabotage. Beyond the lost opportunities, procrastination is a breeding ground for chronic stress. It's the constant gnawing guilt in the back of your mind, the persistent anxiety of knowing you're falling behind, the frantic rush at the last minute, the all-nighters, the panicked scrambling, the compromised quality of your work. It's exhausting. And in the long run, regret, the heavy weight of what-ifs and should-have-beens, that's the real price of procrastination. So I want you to pause for a moment, right here, right now, and engage in some honest self-reflection. Take a few deep breaths and really think about your own life. Where is procrastination winning right now? Is it in your career, your health, your relationships, that creative project you keep dreaming about? Be specific. What tasks are you avoiding? What goals are you putting off? What areas of your life feel stuck? No judgment here, just honest reflection. Because you can't fix a problem until you admit it's there. But here's the empowering truth. This isn't how your story has to end. Procrastination is a habit, and habits can be broken. You have the power to change. You have the potential to achieve those dreams. In this book, I'm going to give you the tools, the strategies, and the mindset to finally break free from procrastination's grip. It's time to stop letting it steal your life and start creating the life you truly desire. Are you ready to take that first step? Because if you are, let's turn the page and begin this journey together. Chapter 2: Decoding the Delay. Why do we procrastinate? So we've faced the big question: is procrastination stealing your life? And if you're honest with yourself, the answer is probably a resounding yes, at least in some areas. But now let's dig deeper. Let's understand why we do this to ourselves. Why do we procrastinate, even when we know it's holding us back? Let's debunk some common myths. First off, procrastination isn't about laziness. Let's ditch that idea right now. Laziness is about not wanting to do anything. Procrastination is the opposite. It's about wanting to do something, knowing you should, but feeling stuck. It's a struggle, not a character flaw. And it's not simply a lack of willpower. People who procrastinate often excel in other areas of their lives. Willpower matters, of course, but procrastination is more complex than just trying harder. It's not about brute forcing your way through. If it were that simple, you wouldn't need this book. So if it's not laziness or a simple lack of willpower, then what's really going on? Why do we keep putting things off? Well, there are actually several very real reasons why procrastination takes hold of us, and understanding these reasons is absolutely key to breaking free. The first reason is fear, specifically fear of failure. Think about it for a second. If you never really try, you can never really fail, right? That's the twisted logic procrastination whispers in our ears. Starting a project, writing that report, pursuing that dream, it all comes with the risk of not being good enough, of not meeting expectations, of falling short. And that fear can be completely paralyzing. So we avoid starting altogether, choosing the temporary comfort of doing nothing over the potential pain of what we perceive as failure. Another major driver of procrastination is perfectionism. You might be surprised to hear this, but many procrastinators are actually perfectionists at heart. They hold themselves to this incredibly high standard, this deep-seated belief that everything they do has to be absolutely flawless, perfectly executed, right from the very beginning. And because perfect feels so impossible, so overwhelming, they don't even start. They get stuck in the endless planning stage, endlessly researching, over-preparing, waiting for that elusive perfect moment, which, spoiler alert, never actually comes. It's like they believe they have to write a masterpiece on their first attempt, and if they can't guarantee that level of brilliance, they simply won't write anything at all. Overwhelm is another big piece of this puzzle. Sometimes tasks just feel too enormous, too complicated, too daunting to even think about tackling. You look at the whole project, the entire mountain of work stretching out ahead of you, and your brain just shuts down. It's like facing a giant, and you feel utterly tiny and powerless. So instinctively, instead of actually tackling it, you avoid it completely. You distract yourself with smaller, easier, more immediately manageable tasks, even if those tasks are ultimately totally unimportant in the grand scheme of things. It's a sneaky way of feeling temporarily productive without actually dealing with the real source of your stress and anxiety. Low energy also plays a surprisingly significant role in procrastination. Let's be honest with ourselves, life can be really draining. If you're constantly feeling tired, stressed out, or completely burnt out, tackling anything that requires sustained effort, intense focus, or significant mental energy can feel like trying to climb Mount Everest in flip-flops. Procrastination, in this common scenario, often becomes a subconscious coping mechanism, a misguided attempt to conserve your already depleted energy reserves. You instinctively choose to engage in activities that require minimal effort, things that offer a quick and easy energy boost. Even if that boost is incredibly short-lived and ultimately unhelpful, like endlessly scrolling through social media feeds or watching mindless videos for hours on end. And sometimes, the root cause of procrastination is surprisingly simple and straightforward: unclear goals. If you don't really know, deep down, what you're truly trying to achieve, or even more importantly, why it's genuinely important to you on a personal level, it's incredibly difficult to muster the sustained motivation needed to actually work on it. Vague, poorly defined goals like get healthy or be more productive are incredibly difficult for your brain to grasp and even harder to translate into consistent action. Without clear, specific, and deeply meaningful goals that truly resonate with you, you naturally lack direction. You lack a compelling sense of purpose, and procrastination all too easily rushes in to fill that motivational void. But beneath all these surface-level reasons, the fear of failure, the crippling perfectionism, the overwhelming sense of being swamped, the draining effects of low energy, the confusion of unclear goals, there are often even deeper, more powerful emotional drivers subtly at play, pulling the strings from behind the scenes. Procrastination is very rarely just about the task itself, the inherent difficulty or unpleasantness of the work. It's frequently and profoundly about how we feel about the task on an emotional level, and even more broadly, how we are feeling in our lives in general. Anxiety is a huge emotional component. The low-level anxiety of even starting, the amplified anxiety of potential failure, the pervasive anxiety of not being perfect enough in our execution, the generalized anxiety of stepping into the unknown and facing uncertainty. It can all rapidly build up and become emotionally overwhelming, often leading to a powerful urge to avoid the source of that discomfort altogether. Procrastination becomes a temporary escape from anxiety, even though it usually makes that anxiety worse in the long run. Fear, as we've already touched on, is another incredibly powerful and primal emotion directly driving procrastination. Fear of judgment from others, fear of harsh criticism, fear of venturing even slightly outside your well-worn comfort zone, fear of negative opinions or social disapproval. These deep-seated fears can effectively keep you frozen in place, trapped in inaction, consistently preventing you from even starting on projects and pursuits that are genuinely meaningful and important to you. And let's not forget the surprisingly powerful influence of simple, plain boredom. Sometimes, let's face it, tasks are just undeniably boring. They're tedious, repetitive, uninspiring, and your brain, quite understandably, actively rebels against having to engage with them. Procrastination, in this common scenario, becomes a readily available escape route, a tempting way to flee from the clutches of sheer boredom, to actively seek out more immediately stimulating, more instantly enjoyable activities, even when those activities are ultimately unproductive, time-wasting, and actively derail you from making progress on your more meaningful goals. So, if any of this deeply resonates with you, if you clearly recognize aspects of yourself and your own internal struggles reflected in these common reasons and underlying emotional drivers, please, I urge you, be genuinely kind and compassionate to yourself in this moment. Practice profound self-compassion. Truly understand, at a core level, that procrastination is absolutely not a unique personal failing. It's not an inherent sign of personal weakness or lack of character, and it's definitely not something to carry around with you as a badge of shame. It's an incredibly common and widespread human struggle, a near-universal experience. Millions upon millions of people across the globe, from every walk of life, wrestle with the insidious pull of procrastination every single day. You are absolutely, unequivocally not alone in this often frustrating and isolating experience. And recognizing that shared humanity, deeply understanding the complex why behind your individual procrastination patterns, is not about making excuses for inaction or wallowing in self-pity. It's the essential first step towards finding practical strategies and tools to break free from procrastination and live a fulfilling life. Understanding why you procrastinate is emphatically not the destination. It's simply the critical, unavoidable starting point of your transformative journey. And now that we've bravely begun to decode the often confusing delay, we are genuinely ready to purposefully move forward to the crucial how, to exploring the practical, step-by-step actions you can take, starting today, to finally conquer procrastination and wholeheartedly reclaim your precious life. Chapter 3. Know Your Enemy. Identifying your procrastination triggers and patterns. All right, so we've started to understand why procrastination happens. We know it's not about being lazy or lacking willpower. It's about deeper stuff: fear, perfectionism, overwhelm, and those sneaky emotional drivers. But just understanding why isn't enough to actually change things. Now we need to get practical. We need to learn to recognize procrastination in your own life, in your own habits. Think of it like this. If procrastination is the enemy, and it is, then Chapter 3 is all about knowing your enemy. It's about learning to spot its tactics, understand its strategies, and recognize exactly how it operates in your world. And the first step in knowing your enemy is to identify your personal procrastination triggers. What are the specific situations, tasks, or even times of day that make you most likely to procrastinate? This isn't about vague ideas. It's about getting really concrete and specific about your patterns. Let's do a quick self-assessment exercise right now. Grab a pen and paper, or just use your phone to make a quick list. Think about the last week, or even just the last few days. When did you procrastinate? Be honest with yourself. Reflect on what you were supposed to be doing versus what you actually did. Take a moment to write down the task you avoided. And then, really think about what was going on right before you started procrastinating. What were you feeling? What were you thinking? Where were you? Who were you with? What time of day was it? Were you tired? Were you stressed? Were you feeling anxious about the task itself? Really dig into the details. For example, maybe you were supposed to be working on a report, but instead you found yourself scrolling through social media. Okay, what triggered that? Were you feeling overwhelmed by the report? Were you worried you wouldn't do a good job? Were you just feeling bored and needed a quick distraction? Maybe you always procrastinate in the afternoon when your energy dips. Or maybe you always procrastinate when you're working from home and the distractions are just too tempting. The more specific you can be about your triggers, the more power you have to deal with them. Look for patterns in your list. Do you tend to procrastinate on certain types of tasks? Are there certain emotions that consistently trigger your procrastination? Are there specific times of day or locations that make it worse? Identifying these personal triggers is like shining a light into the darkness. It makes the enemy visible, and once you can see it, you can start to fight back. Now let's talk about some common procrastination traps that many of us fall into. These are the everyday things that can easily suck us in and derail our best intentions. Social media is a huge one, obviously. It's designed to be addictive, to keep you scrolling and clicking for hours on end. It's the ultimate distraction machine. And it's so easy to justify just checking social media for a few minutes, which then turns into an hour, and suddenly your whole afternoon is gone. Email is another sneaky trap. It feels productive to check and respond to emails right. It feels like you're getting things done. But often, email is just another form of busy work, a way to avoid the real work you should be doing. You can spend hours in your inbox, answering emails that aren't urgent, deleting spam, and feeling like you've accomplished something, when in reality, you've just procrastinated on your actual priorities. And speaking of busy work, that's a trap in itself. Busy work is anything that makes you feel productive, without actually being productive on your most important goals. It's the small, easy tasks that you can check off your list to give yourself a false sense of accomplishment. It's organizing your desk for the 5th time, color-coding your files, or spending hours researching something you already know enough about. Busy work is procrastination in disguise. It keeps you occupied, but it doesn't move you closer to your real dreams. Recognize these common traps in your own life. Are you spending too much time on social media? Are you constantly checking email when you should be focusing on deeper work? Are you filling your day with busy work to avoid the tasks that truly matter? Being aware of these traps is the first step to avoiding them. It's also helpful to recognize your individual procrastination style. We all procrastinate in slightly different ways. Understanding your style can give you even more insight into your patterns and help you tailor your strategies for overcoming it. One common style is the avoider. Avoiders procrastinate because they are afraid of failure, afraid of criticism, afraid of not being good enough. They tend to avoid tasks that feel challenging or that put them in the spotlight. Avoiders might say yes to everything, but then secretly hope things will just go away or resolve themselves without them having to actually do the work. Then there's the perfectionist style. Perfectionist procrastinators, as we talked about, set impossibly high standards for themselves. They get stuck in the details, endlessly tweaking and refining, never feeling like their work is good enough to be finished or presented. They procrastinate on starting because they are terrified of not meeting their own unrealistic expectations. The crisis maker is another interesting style. Crisis makers actually thrive on the pressure of deadlines. They procrastinate until the very last minute. Then they work in a frenzy of adrenaline to get things done just in the nick of time. They might tell themselves they work best under pressure, but really, they are addicted to the drama and excitement of the last-minute rush, and they use procrastination to create that drama. And finally, there's the dreamer. Dreamers are full of big ideas and grand visions, but they struggle to actually take action and turn those dreams into reality. They love to brainstorm, to plan, to talk about their goals, but they procrastinate on the actual work, the day-to-day steps required to make those dreams happen. They get lost in the clouds of possibility and avoid the grounded reality of taking action. Which of these styles, if any, resonates most with you? You might even be a combination of styles. The point is to recognize your tendencies, to understand your go-to procrastination patterns. And once you start to understand your triggers and your style, you can learn to spot the warning signs before procrastination takes hold. Think of it like recognizing the early symptoms of a cold. You know that tickle in your throat, that slight fatigue, that little voice saying, "Maybe I should just rest today." Those are the warning signs. With procrastination, it's similar. Maybe you notice yourself suddenly feeling restless when you sit down to work. Maybe you start feeling an urge to check social media, even though you know you shouldn't. Maybe you start thinking of a million other urgent, but unimportant tasks you need to do right now. These are your warning signs. Notice them. Pay attention to how your mood, thoughts, and behavior change. The sooner you notice these signs, the sooner you can stop procrastinating. It's like catching a small fire before it becomes a raging inferno. So remember this powerful message. Awareness is the first line of defense. Just by taking the time to identify your triggers, recognize your patterns, and spot the warning signs, you are already taking a huge step towards overcoming procrastination. You are no longer in the dark. You are starting to see the enemy clearly. And that awareness, that clear-eyed understanding of how procrastination works in your life, is the foundation you need to build real, lasting change. You are gaining control, you are becoming more conscious, and you are empowering yourself to finally break free from the procrastination trap. And that's incredibly powerful. Now that you know your enemy, we can move on to the really exciting part, learning the strategies and techniques to actually defeat it. In this next part, we'll explore some practical strategies to overcome procrastination, starting with a surprisingly simple yet powerful technique. Part 2, Action Strategies, your step-by-step guide to taking control. All right, we've done some serious work in Part 1, right? We've unmasked procrastination, we've understood why it happens, and we've even started to recognize how it operates in our own lives. That's fantastic progress. But knowledge alone isn't enough. Understanding the problem is only the first step. Now it's time to move from understanding to action. Part 2 is where we get practical. This is where we arm ourselves with the real tools, the proven strategies, the step-by-step techniques you can use to actually take back control and break free from procrastination for good. We're moving from just knowing about the enemy to actively defeating it. Get ready, because Part 2 is all about doing. It's about building momentum, creating change, and finally stepping into that action-oriented life you deserve. Let's dive in and start building your action strategy, step by step. Chapter 4, The Power of the Tiny Step, Starting Small to Win Big. Welcome to Part 2, where we'll dive into actionable strategies to conquer procrastination. And we're kicking things off with what might seem like the simplest strategy, but trust me, it's one of the most powerful. The power of the tiny step. Seriously, don't let the word tiny fool you. This isn't about being insignificant. It's about being smart. It's about understanding how your brain actually works and using that knowledge to your advantage. We're talking about micro-actions. What exactly is a micro-action? Well, it's basically the smallest possible action you can take to move towards your goal. It's so ridiculously small, so incredibly easy, that it almost feels silly. But that's the whole point. It's designed to bypass your procrastination brain's resistance. Think of it like this. Remember how we talked about overwhelm in Chapter 2. How big tasks can make you freeze up and procrastinate. Micro-actions are the exact opposite of overwhelm. They are so tiny, so manageable, that they actually make you feel capable and empowered to start, instead of intimidated and stuck. Let's take a classic procrastination task, writing. Say you have to write a report, a presentation, an email, anything that involves putting words on a page. If you're procrastinating, the thought of writing can feel like climbing a mountain. So what's the micro action? It's not write the whole report. It's not even write the introduction. It's something way, way smaller. It's open the document. That's it. Just open the file on your computer. Or if that still feels too big, make it even tinier. Turn on your computer. Or even put your fingers on the keyboard. I know it sounds almost absurdly simple, but that's the beauty of it. Your brain can't really argue with, just open the document, can it? There's no room for fear to creep in, no space for perfectionism to take over. It's just a tiny, almost effortless action. And yet, by taking that micro action, you've already broken the ice. You've overcome that initial inertia, that feeling of being completely stuck. You've started moving. And once you've opened the document, well, guess what? You're already there. You're in the space where the writing needs to happen. And suddenly, the next micro-action may be write one sentence or jot down one idea doesn't feel nearly as impossible anymore. The real magic of micro-actions is that they shift your focus from finishing to starting. Forget about the end goal for a moment. Forget about the huge project looming ahead. Just focus on that tiny, immediate first step. Just commit to opening the document. That's your only goal, right now in this moment. And when you achieve that tiny goal, and you will, give yourself a little mental high five. Seriously, acknowledge that small win. Hey, I opened the document. That's progress. These small wins are way more powerful than you might think. They build momentum, like a snowball rolling downhill. They create a sense of forward motion, even if it's just baby steps. And momentum, that feeling of actually moving forward, is the kryptonite to procrastination. Think about pushing something really heavy, like a car that's stalled. Getting it started is the hardest part, right? It takes a huge push to get it rolling. But once it starts moving, even slowly, it becomes much, much easier to keep pushing. Procrastination is like that stalled car. Micro-actions are that initial, surprisingly effective push. They get you rolling. And once you're rolling, even at a snail's pace, you're no longer stuck in park. Let's take another example, something totally different. Say you've been putting off exercise. You know you should. You want to feel healthier, but the thought of a full-blown workout just feels exhausting. Overwhelming. So what's the micro-action? It's not go for a 30-minute run. It's not even do a 15-minute workout video. It's even smaller than that. It's put on your workout clothes. That's it. Just change into your gym clothes. Or if you're really feeling resistant, make it even tinier. Lay out your workout clothes by the bed. Ridiculously easy, right? And again, that's the point. And once you're in your workout clothes, suddenly the idea of just going for a 5-minute walk doesn't seem so bad. And after that 5-minute walk, maybe you'll feel like walking for 10 minutes. And who knows, you might even surprise yourself and end up doing a longer workout. But it all started with that almost laughably small micro-action, putting on your workout clothes. This tiny step strategy works for absolutely anything you're procrastinating on: big projects, small tasks, anything in between. Cleaning your kitchen. Micro action: fill the sink with soapy water, writing that thank you note. Micro action: find a pen and paper, learning to play guitar. Micro action: pick up the guitar, making that phone call you've been dreading. Micro action: unlock your phone. It's all about lowering the barrier to entry to almost zero. It's about making the starting point so incredibly easy, so ridiculously small and unthreatening, that your procrastination brain simply can't find a legitimate reason to resist. And here's the real secret weapon within this strategy: just commit to the first 5 minutes. That's it. Tell yourself, okay, I'm just going to work on this report, this project, this task, for a grand total of 5 minutes. Set a timer on your phone if you need to make it official. 5 minutes is practically nothing, right? Anyone, even the most dedicated procrastinator, can usually handle 5 minutes of focused work. And what you'll discover, almost every single time, is that once you actually get started, once you overcome that initial mental inertia, those 5 minutes often magically expand into 10, then 15, then 30, and suddenly you're actually working, you're in the zone, you're making real progress. And even on those days when 5 minutes is all you do, that's still a victory. That's still 5 minutes more action than you would have taken if you'd stayed stuck in procrastination paralysis. 5 minutes of focused action is always, always better than 0 minutes of anxious inaction. Small steps forward, no matter how tiny, are still genuine steps forward. They build tangible momentum. They subtly boost your confidence in your ability to start, and they powerfully prove to your own brain, time and time again, that starting isn't nearly as scary, as difficult, or as painful as your procrastination voice tries to make you believe. So, wholeheartedly embrace the incredible power of the tiny step. Stop trying to take giant leaps over imaginary mountains of resistance. Instead, start consistently taking just one tiny, seemingly insignificant pebble step forward, again and again. Break down those overwhelming, anxiety-inducing tasks into ridiculously small, almost laughably easy micro-actions. Ruthlessly focus on simply starting, not on some distant, intimidating idea of finishing. Celebrate each and every one of those small wins, no matter how trivial they may seem on the surface. And make a conscious commitment to yourself to just begin with the first 5 minutes of focused effort. Because these tiny steps, these almost invisible micro-actions, are the real, often underestimated secret weapon in your fight against procrastination. They are the fundamental key to building unstoppable momentum, consistently overcoming inertia, and finally starting to win big in your life, one small, manageable, and empowering step at a time. So I have to ask you right now, are you ready to take your very first micro-action? What is one tiny step, so small it feels almost effortless, that you can commit to taking towards your biggest goal, starting this very minute, this very second? Chapter 5, Task Taming, Conquering Overwhelm with Smart Task Management. All right, we've got micro actions in our toolkit now, and that's a fantastic start. You're seeing how those tiny steps can actually get you moving, even when procrastination is whispering in your ear. But let's be real, sometimes the problem isn't just starting, it's the sheer size of what we need to do. What about those tasks, those projects, that just feel absolutely enormous? The ones that make your to-do list look like a mile-long marathon. That feeling of being completely swamped, totally overwhelmed, that's prime procrastination territory. When you're staring at a mountain of work, it's so easy to just shut down. Your brain goes into overwhelm overload, and suddenly, scrolling through social media or watching funny videos seems way more appealing than facing that giant task. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can learn to tame those overwhelming tasks. You can break them down, manage them effectively, and actually start making real progress, even on the biggest, scariest projects. And it all comes down to getting smart about task management. This chapter is your guide to conquering overwhelm, taking control, and making even the most daunting tasks feel, well, not exactly easy, but definitely doable, definitely manageable, definitely something you can actually tackle and complete. So let's talk practical tools, techniques you can use right away. First up, time blocking. If you're a procrastinator, time blocking can be a game changer. It's all about taking control of your time, instead of letting your time control you. Time blocking is simple. You schedule specific blocks of time in your day for specific tasks. Think of it like creating a visual map for your day, where each block of time has a purpose, a job to do. Instead of just having a mental to-do list that floats around in your head, stressing you out, you actually put those tasks into your calendar, just like you'd schedule a doctor's appointment or a meeting with a friend. Why is this so powerful for procrastinators? Because it creates structure. It eliminates that vague feeling of, I have so much to do, I don't know where to start. With time blocking, you do know where to start and when. You've already decided that from 10:00 a.m. to 11:00 a.m., you're working on that report. And when 10:00 a.m. rolls around, there's no more decision fatigue, no more mental debate about what to do next. The decision is already made. You just follow your schedule. It takes the pressure off your willpower in the moment. You're not relying on motivation to magically appear. You're relying on your pre-planned schedule to guide you. To start time blocking, grab your calendar, digital or paper, whatever works for you. Look at your to-do list and pick one or two tasks that you've been putting off, tasks that feel important but also a bit overwhelming. Now, block out even just 30 minutes for each of those tasks in your calendar. Treat these time blocks like serious appointments. Protect them. When that time block arrives, minimize distractions. Turn off notifications on your phone and computer. Close those extra browser tabs that are tempting you. And for that dedicated block of time, focus only on that one task. You might be surprised how much you can accomplish in even a short, focused time block. Start small, be consistent, and watch time blocking transform your productivity. Next up, let's conquer task overload with prioritization. Let's be honest, not every task on your to-do list is equally important. Some tasks are tiny, trivial, barely move the needle. Others are big, impactful game changers. But when you're feeling overwhelmed, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. You might spend hours answering emails or doing busy work just to feel like you're doing something. While the really important tasks, the ones that will actually get you closer to your goals, keep getting pushed aside day after day. Task prioritization is your secret weapon against this. It's about learning to distinguish between what's truly important and what's just noise. And one of the best tools for prioritization is the Eisenhower matrix. Don't let the fancy name intimidate you. It's actually super simple and incredibly effective. The Eisenhower matrix, also known as the urgent important matrix, is just a 4-box grid. You categorize your tasks based on two things: how urgent they are and how important they are. Think of it like sorting your tasks into 4 categories. Urgent and important, these are your do-now tasks. Crises, deadlines, emergencies, these demand your immediate attention. Important but not urgent, these are your scheduled tasks. Long-term planning, relationship building, proactive work, exercise, learning new skills. These are crucial for your long-term success and well-being, but they don't have immediate deadlines breathing down your neck. Urgent but not important, these are your delegated tasks. Many emails, some meetings, interruptions, requests that are urgent for someone else, but not really for you and your main goals. Try to minimize or delegate these as much as possible. And finally, not urgent and not important, these are your eliminated tasks. Time-wasting activities, procrastination traps, busy work that doesn't actually move you forward. Social media rabbit holes, endless browse, tasks that just make you feel busy but don't contribute to anything meaningful. Ruthlessly cut these out. The real magic of the Eisenhower matrix is that it helps you focus your energy where it truly counts, on the important but not urgent quadrant. That's where you make real progress on your goals. That's where you build a better future. That's where you prevent those urgent and important crises from happening in the first place. Yes, urgent and important tasks will always demand your attention, but don't let them dominate your entire day. Use the Eisenhower matrix to sort your to-do list. Ask yourself, is this task truly important for my long-term goals? Is it genuinely urgent or just feel urgent? Prioritize based on importance, not just urgency, and you'll start to see a huge shift in your productivity and your sense of control. Now, what about those truly massive, complex projects? The kind that have 1,000,000 steps and feel like they'll take forever. The key here, and you might be seeing a theme emerging, is to break them down. But we're not just talking about smaller tasks here. We're talking about breaking them down ruthlessly into the tiniest, most manageable steps imaginable. Remember micro-actions. This is micro-actions on steroids, applied to project management. Instead of staring at the overwhelming enormity of the whole project, zoom in, laser focus on just the very first step. What's the absolute smallest, easiest thing you can do right now to get the ball rolling? Maybe it's just creating a basic outline. Maybe it's just jotting down some initial ideas. Maybe it's just sending one email to gather information. Whatever it is, make it ridiculously small. Make it feel almost effortless. Make it something you can realistically accomplish in a short time block, maybe even just 15 minutes. And then, once you've conquered that first tiny step, celebrate that little win and immediately focus on breaking down the next step. And the next. And the next. Keep breaking the project down, step by step, into smaller and smaller chunks, until each individual step feels completely doable, almost automatic. Think of it like building with Legos. You don't start by trying to assemble the entire castle at once, right? You start with one brick, then another, then another. And slowly, step by step, brick by brick, that giant castle starts to take shape. That's how you tackle massive projects, one small, manageable step at a time. Create a project plan, even a simple one, that visually breaks down the entire project into these bite-sized steps. Use bullet points, use checklists, use mind maps, use project management software. Whatever visual tool helps you see the project as a series of small, achievable actions. And for each step, give yourself a realistic estimate of how long it will take, and then schedule time blocks in your calendar to actually work on those steps. Suddenly, that one terrifying, overwhelming project starts to feel much less scary, much more approachable, much more tameable. And to keep yourself on track with all these tasks and projects, deadlines and structure are your allies. Now I know deadlines can be stressful, especially for procrastinators. But used strategically, deadlines can be incredibly powerful motivators. Instead of just reacting to external deadlines imposed by others, learn to create your own deadlines proactively. When you break down those big projects into smaller tasks, give yourself realistic deadlines for each of those smaller steps. Treat these self-imposed deadlines as seriously as you would any external deadline. Put them in your calendar, set reminders on your phone, tell a friend or accountability partner about them. Whatever it takes to make them feel real and binding. Structure is also your friend. Create routines, build rituals around your work. A consistent morning routine, a dedicated workspace, regular check-in points throughout the day to review your progress. These are all forms of structure that can help you stay focused and resist the urge to procrastinate. Think of structure as the container that holds your actions, that keeps you moving in the right direction, even when motivation is wavering. The more structure you build into your day and your work process, the less mental energy you have to spend on deciding what to do next, and the less room there is for procrastination to sneak in and derail you. But a word of caution here. When you're creating schedules and deadlines, resist the urge to be a perfectionist. It's tempting, especially when you're feeling anxious about getting things done, to create this incredibly detailed, minute-by-minute schedule that plans out every single second of your day, perfectly optimized for maximum productivity. That's perfectionism talking, and it's actually a procrastination trap in disguise. Perfectionistic schedules are rigid, inflexible, and let's be honest, completely unrealistic for most people. Life happens. Unexpected things come up. You get interrupted, you get tired, things take longer than you planned. And when your perfectly crafted, impossibly demanding schedule inevitably gets derailed. The perfectionist procrastinator tends to just throw the whole thing out the window and give up in frustration. Instead of trying to create a perfect schedule, plan realistically. Include some extra time in your schedule. Allow for flexibility. Understand that things will not always go exactly according to your initial plan, and that's okay. Your schedule is meant to be a guide, a helpful tool, not a rigid, unforgiving prison. It's there to support you, to help you stay on track, but it should also be adaptable, forgiving, and, well, realistic. Focus on making consistent progress, not on achieving some impossible standard of perfection. Focus on building a system you can stick to, not a perfect fantasy schedule that will only disappoint you. And to make all of this task taming even easier, use tools. Templates for task breakdown and scheduling can be incredibly helpful starting points. For breaking down projects, you can use simple bulleted lists in a notebook, create mind maps on paper or digitally, draw flowcharts to visualize the steps. Whatever visual method helps you see the project broken down into smaller, more manageable pieces. For scheduling, experiment with different calendar apps, explore paper planners, try out task management apps like Todoist, Asana, or Trello. There are tons of tools out there, both free and paid. The key is to find tools that you actually enjoy using, that fit your workflow, and that make task management feel less like a chore and more like a helpful support system. Don't get bogged down in trying to find the perfect app or template. Just pick something simple to start with, experiment, and see what works best for you. Remember, the best task management system isn't the fanciest or most complex one. It's the one you actually use consistently. So take heart. You are not doomed to be a victim of overwhelm. You can tame those giant, scary tasks. You can conquer procrastination with smart, strategic task management. Use time blocking to carve out dedicated work time. Use task prioritization to laser focus on what truly matters. Break down those massive projects into tiny, manageable micro-actions. Create deadlines and structure to build accountability and momentum. Plan realistically and ditch those perfectionistic, impossible schedules. And use templates and tools to make the whole process smoother and easier. Because with the right task management strategies in your toolkit, you can truly transform those overwhelming mountains of work into manageable molehills. And finally start feeling genuinely in control of your tasks, in control of your projects, and most importantly, in control of your precious time. Ready to start taming those tasks and conquering overwhelm for good. Let's keep building your action strategy and move on to the next chapter, where we'll tackle another major procrastination enemy: distractions. Chapter 6: Distraction Defenses. Reclaiming your focus in a noisy world. So we're getting good at taming tasks, right? We're learning to break down overwhelm, schedule our time, and prioritize what matters. But even with the best task management system in the world, there's still a major enemy lurking, constantly trying to derail us, to pull us off track, to steal our focus. Distractions. Seriously, think about it. We live in a world designed to distract us. Our phones buzz, notifications pop up, emails ding, social media feeds are endless, news alerts flash. And even our own minds seem to have a million tabs open at once, jumping from thought to thought, worry to worry, idea to idea. It's a noisy world, both outside and inside our heads. And procrastination absolutely loves distractions. Distractions are procrastination's best friend, its favorite weapon. Because when you're distracted, you're not working on what you're supposed to be working on. You're not facing that challenging task. You're not pushing through that discomfort. You're escaping into something easier, something more immediately gratifying, something distracting. So, if we're serious about overcoming procrastination, we have to get serious about defending ourselves against distractions. This chapter is your guide to building those distraction defenses, reclaiming your focus, and creating pockets of quiet, concentrated attention in this noisy, chaotic world. Because here's the empowering truth: you can control your attention. It takes practice, it takes strategy, but it's absolutely possible to take charge of your focus and stop letting distractions rule your day. First, we need to identify the enemy. What are the common distractions that are constantly vying for your attention? Distractions come in two main flavors: external and internal. External distractions are the ones that come from your environment, from the world around you. These are the obvious culprits: your phone buzzing with notifications, social media alerts popping up on your computer, emails constantly arriving in your inbox, noisy coworkers, family interruptions, the TV in the background. The lure of the internet, the endless stream of information and entertainment just a click away. External distractions are often loud, attention-grabbing, and designed to pull you away from your focus. But it's not just the outside world vying for your attention. Internal distractions, on the other hand, are the ones that come from inside your own mind. These are often more subtle, but just as powerful, if not more so. Internal distractions are your own thoughts, your worries, your anxieties, your daydreams, your urges to check social media, your boredom, your restlessness. Your inner critic chattering away, telling you you're not good enough, you're going to fail, you should just give up. Internal distractions are tricky because they feel like normal thoughts, but they can easily derail your focus and lead to procrastination. Take a moment to think about your common distractions. What are the external distractions that constantly interrupt your work? Is it notifications? Is it noise? Is it interruptions from other people? And what about internal distractions? What thoughts, feelings, or urges tend to pull you away from your focus? Is it anxiety? Is it boredom? Is it the lure of social media? Is it your inner critic? Identifying your specific distractions, both external and internal, is the first step to building effective defenses. Let's start with those digital distractions, because in today's world, they are often the biggest and most persistent offenders. Your phone, your computer, the internet, these are incredible tools, but they are also distraction magnets, designed to constantly grab your attention and keep you hooked. The key to minimizing digital distractions is to be proactive, to set up defenses before you start working, rather than trying to resist temptation in the moment. Notifications are distraction enemy number one. Those little red badges, those buzzes and dings, they are designed to trigger your brain's reward system, to make you constantly check your phone, your email, your social media. Turn them off. Seriously, turn off as many notifications as you possibly can, especially for non-essential apps. You don't need to know instantly every time someone likes your Instagram post or sends you a non-urgent email. Batch your notification checks. Decide to check email and social media at specific times of day, rather than letting notifications constantly interrupt your flow. Social media itself is a massive distraction trap. It's designed to be endlessly engaging, to suck you in and keep you scrolling for hours. When you need to focus, close those social media tabs. Use website blockers if you need extra help resisting the urge to visit distracting sites. There are apps and browser extensions that can temporarily block access to social media, news sites, and other time-wasting websites, helping you stay focused during your work blocks. Email management is another crucial skill for distraction defense. Email can be a huge time sink and a constant source of interruption if you let it. Don't check email constantly throughout the day. Schedule specific times to check and respond to emails, maybe 2 or 3 times a day, rather than letting email notifications constantly pull you away from your focused work. Use email filters and folders to prioritize important emails and filter out the noise. Unsubscribe from newsletters and email lists that you don't actually read. The goal is to make email a tool that serves you, rather than a constant source of distraction and interruption. By proactively minimizing these digital distractions, notifications, social media, email, you're already creating a much more focused and distraction-resistant work environment. But it's not just about the digital world. Creating a focused physical work environment is also essential. Think about your workspace. Is it set up for focus or for distraction? Is it cluttered and disorganized, filled with visual distractions? Is it noisy and full of interruptions? Or is it calm, quiet, and conducive to concentration? Ideally, your focused work environment should be separate from your relaxation or entertainment spaces. If possible, have a dedicated workspace, even if it's just a corner of a room that is specifically for focused work. Keep your workspace clean and organized. Minimize visual clutter. Remove anything from your desk that isn't directly related to the task at hand. Reduce noise distractions. If possible, work in a quiet space. Use noise-canceling headphones if you need to block out background noise. Minimize interruptions from other people. Let family members or coworkers know when you need uninterrupted focus time. Put up a Do Not Disturb sign if needed. Creating a focused work environment is about intentionally designing your physical space to support your concentration and minimize external distractions. It's about creating a sanctuary for focused work, a place where you can minimize the noise of the outside world and maximize your ability to concentrate. But even with the perfect physical and digital environment, internal distractions will still arise. Your mind will wander, thoughts will pop up, urges to procrastinate will surface. That's just how the human brain works. You can't eliminate internal distractions completely, but you can learn to manage them and refocus when your mind wanders. And one of the most powerful techniques for managing internal distractions is mindfulness. Mindfulness is simply paying attention to the present moment without judgment. It's about noticing your thoughts and feelings as they arise, without getting carried away by them, without getting caught up in them. Mindfulness practice, even just for a few minutes a day, can significantly improve your ability to focus and manage distractions. Try a simple mindfulness exercise right now. Close your eyes for a moment and just focus on your breath. Notice the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. When your mind wanders, and it will, gently redirect your attention back to your breath. Don't judge yourself for getting distracted. Just gently guide your focus back. That simple act of redirecting your attention is mindfulness in action. And the more you practice mindfulness, the better you'll become at noticing internal distractions as they arise, and gently redirecting your focus back to your work without getting frustrated or derailed. There are also other focus techniques you can use to manage internal distractions. The Pomodoro technique, for example, involves working in focused bursts of 25 minutes, followed by short breaks. This structured approach can help you maintain focus for shorter periods, and the breaks provide a planned opportunity to address any internal restlessness or urges to procrastinate. Focus music or white noise can also help block out internal noise and create a more focused mental state. Experiment with different techniques to find what works best for you for managing those inevitable internal distractions. Remember, distractions are a constant battle in today's world. There's no magic bullet, no perfect solution that will eliminate them entirely. But you are not powerless. You can build defenses. You can reclaim your focus. By identifying your common distractions, minimizing digital interruptions, creating a focused work environment, and learning techniques to manage internal distractions, you can significantly reduce the power of distractions in your life. It takes practice, it takes consistency, and it takes conscious effort. But every small step you take to defend your focus is a step towards taking back control of your time, your attention, and your life. Because ultimately, you can control your attention. You have the power to choose where you focus your mind. Don't let distractions steal your focus, steal your time, and steal your dreams. Start building your distraction defenses today and reclaim your right to focus, to concentrate, and to create the life you truly want. Chapter 7: Fueling Your Action Engine. Motivation, Momentum, and Mindset. All right, we're armed with strategies now, right? We've got tiny steps, task taming, distraction defenses. You're building a real toolkit to fight procrastination. But even with the best tools, there are days when it just feels hard. Days when motivation is MIA, when your energy is low, when your inner critic is shouting louder than usual. That's where this chapter comes in. Because overcoming procrastination isn't just about knowing what to do, it's about wanting to do it, about fueling your action engine, about building the inner drive, the momentum, and the mindset that will keep you going, even when things get tough. Think of motivation as the fuel for your action engine. It's what gets you started, what keeps you moving forward, what powers you through those challenging stretches. And in this chapter, we're going to explore how to find your fuel, how to create more of it, and how to make sure your engine is always ready to go. Because let's be honest, willpower alone is not enough. You can't just grit your teeth and force yourself to be motivated all the time. Motivation is something you cultivate, something you nurture, something you actively build. And it starts with understanding what actually drives you in the first place. So let's talk about motivation itself. What is it really? Motivation is basically the why behind your actions. It's the reason you do what you do. And there are two main types of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic. Extrinsic motivation comes from external rewards or pressures. It's doing things for the paycheck, the praise, the recognition, the fear of punishment, the external deadlines, things outside of yourself that push you to act. Extrinsic motivation can be useful in the short term. It can get you started, but it's often not sustainable in the long run. It's like relying on caffeine for energy. It gives you a temporary boost, but eventually you crash. Intrinsic motivation, on the other hand, comes from within. It's doing things because you genuinely enjoy them, because they align with your values, because they give you a sense of purpose, satisfaction, or fulfillment. It's doing things for the love of the process itself, not just for the external reward. Intrinsic motivation is the long-lasting, sustainable fuel for your action engine. It's like switching from caffeine to a healthy, balanced diet. It provides consistent, reliable energy that keeps you going strong, day after day. So, how do you cultivate more intrinsic motivation? It starts with connecting your actions to your why. Ask yourself, why is this task, this goal, this project actually important to me? What values does it align with? How will it contribute to my bigger vision for my life? The more you can connect your actions to your deeper values and purpose, the more intrinsically motivated you'll become. Find the meaning in what you do, even in the tasks that seem mundane or challenging. Focus on the sense of accomplishment, the feeling of growth, the satisfaction of making progress towards something you genuinely care about. And also, make sure you're choosing goals that actually excite you, that genuinely spark your interest and curiosity. If you're constantly working on things that feel boring or meaningless, it's going to be incredibly hard to stay motivated. Choose goals that resonate with your passions, your interests, your natural strengths. When you're intrinsically motivated, work doesn't feel like a chore. It feels like something you're drawn to, something you want to do, something that fuels you from the inside out. But even when you're tapping into intrinsic motivation, there will still be challenging tasks, tasks that feel difficult, tedious, or just plain unpleasant. And that's where strategies for staying motivated come in. Because motivation isn't a constant state, it ebbs and flows. There will be days when you feel on top of the world, ready to conquer anything, and days when you feel like you're dragging yourself through mud. The key is to have strategies in place to keep your motivation going, even on those tough days. Break down those challenging tasks into even smaller steps. Remember micro-actions. When motivation is low, even thinking about a big task can feel overwhelming. But committing to just one tiny step, just 5 minutes of work, is much easier to stomach, even when you're not feeling it. Celebrate small wins. Acknowledge your progress, no matter how small it seems. Give yourself mini rewards for completing tasks, for sticking to your schedule, for pushing through resistance. Rewards don't have to be huge or elaborate. They can be simple things like a short break, a cup of coffee, listening to your favorite song, or just taking a moment to appreciate your accomplishment. Find accountability partners. Tell a friend, a family member, or a colleague about your goals and your plans. Having someone to check in with, someone to share your progress with, can provide a powerful boost to your motivation and help you stay on track, even when you're feeling discouraged. Change your environment. Sometimes, a simple change of scenery can do wonders for your motivation. If you're feeling stuck or uninspired, try working in a different location, a coffee shop, a library, a park, even just a different room in your house. A new environment can break up your routine and give you a fresh perspective. And remember your why. When motivation is flagging, reconnect with your deeper reasons for pursuing your goals. Remind yourself why this is important to you, how it aligns with your values, what you hope to achieve in the long run. Visualizing your desired outcome, picturing yourself achieving your goals, can be a powerful way to reignite your motivation and push through temporary slumps. And speaking of visualization, let's talk about building a positive, action-oriented mindset. Your mindset, your beliefs about yourself and your abilities, plays a huge role in your motivation and your ability to take action. If you have a negative, self-doubting mindset, if you constantly tell yourself you're not good enough, you're going to fail, you're not capable, it's going to be incredibly hard to stay motivated and overcome procrastination. But if you cultivate a positive, action-oriented mindset, if you believe in your ability to learn, grow, and achieve your goals, you'll be much more resilient, much more motivated, and much more likely to take consistent action, even when faced with challenges. Building a positive mindset is a process, not an overnight transformation. It takes conscious effort, consistent practice, and a willingness to challenge your negative thoughts and beliefs. Start by becoming aware of your self-talk. Pay attention to the inner voice in your head. Is it mostly positive and encouraging, or is it critical and negative? Challenge negative thoughts. When you notice yourself thinking negative or self-doubting thoughts, actively challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought really true? Is it helpful? What's the evidence for and against it? Often, you'll find that those negative thoughts are based on assumptions, fears, and limiting beliefs, rather than actual reality. Replace negative thoughts with positive affirmations. Counteract those negative thoughts with positive, empowering statements about yourself and your abilities. Affirmations are simply positive statements that you repeat to yourself, consciously and consistently, to reprogram your subconscious mind and build a more positive self-image. Examples of affirmations: I am capable of achieving my goals. I am making progress every day. I am resilient and I can overcome challenges. I am worthy of success and happiness. Use visualization to imagine success. Visualization is a powerful technique for building a positive mindset and boosting motivation. Spend a few minutes each day visualizing yourself successfully completing your tasks, achieving your goals, and living the life you desire. See yourself taking action confidently, overcoming obstacles, and enjoying the rewards of your efforts. Visualization helps you create a mental blueprint for success, and it programs your subconscious mind to believe in your ability to achieve it. Practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself, especially when you make mistakes or experience setbacks. Everyone procrastinates sometimes. Everyone faces challenges. Everyone has moments of self-doubt. Don't beat yourself up for being imperfect. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a friend who was struggling. Self-compassion builds resilience and helps you bounce back from setbacks, rather than getting discouraged and giving up. So to fuel your action engine, remember these key actionable tips. For motivation, connect your actions to your why. Choose intrinsically motivating goals. Break down challenging tasks. Celebrate small wins. Find accountability partners and change your environment when needed. For mindset, become aware of your self-talk, challenge negative thoughts. Replace them with positive affirmations. Use visualization to imagine success and practice self-compassion. These are not just abstract concepts. They are practical tools you can use every day to boost your motivation, build momentum, and cultivate a positive, action-oriented mindset. Because ultimately, overcoming procrastination is not just about techniques and strategies. It's about fueling your inner engine. It's about believing in yourself. It's about creating a mindset that empowers you to take action, to persevere through challenges, and to achieve your dreams. Ready to fuel your action engine and unleash your full potential. Now that we've explored how to ignite and sustain motivation, let's move on to the final part of our journey, where we'll discover how to make this action-oriented approach a lasting habit. Part 3. Living the action-oriented life. Sustaining momentum and achieving your dreams. Welcome to Part 3, the final and most exciting part of our journey. We've come a long way together. In Part 1, we unmasked procrastination. We understood its sneaky tactics, and we learned why it takes hold. In Part 2, we armed ourselves with powerful action strategies, tiny steps, task taming, distraction defenses, and fuel for our motivation engine. Now, in Part 3, we're not just talking about quick fixes or temporary solutions. We're talking about lasting change. We're talking about building a life where action isn't a struggle, but a natural, automatic default mode. Part 3 is all about sustainability. It's about making these strategies stick, about embedding them into your daily life, about creating habits that will support you, not just for days or weeks, but for months, years, and for the rest of your life. We're moving beyond just overcoming procrastination in specific moments. We're building a foundation for an action-oriented life. A life where you consistently move towards your dreams. A life filled with purpose, progress, and lasting fulfillment. Get ready to transform from someone who struggles with procrastination into someone who naturally takes action. Someone who lives life proactively. Someone who consistently achieves their goals and creates the life they truly desire. Part 3 is where it all comes together. Let's build that action-oriented life, step by step, habit by habit. Chapter 8. Building the action habit. Making action your default mode. We've equipped ourselves with powerful tools and strategies, and we've even got our motivation engine revving up. But how do we make this stick? How do we ensure that taking action becomes our natural, automatic response? How do we make taking action not just something we do sometimes, but something we are? How do we make action our default mode, our automatic response, our ingrained habit? That's what Chapter 8 is all about, building the action habit. Because ultimately, overcoming procrastination isn't about willpowering your way through every single task, every single day. That's exhausting and unsustainable. True, lasting change comes from building habits, from creating automatic routines that make action easier, more natural, and less of a mental battle. Think about habits you already have, good or bad. Brushing your teeth, checking your phone first thing in the morning, making coffee, these are habits, right? You don't have to consciously decide to do them every day. You just do them automatically, almost without thinking. That's the power of habit. And that's the power we want to harness to overcome procrastination and build an action-oriented life. We want to make taking action as automatic, as effortless, as ingrained as brushing your teeth. And it's absolutely possible. Habits are learned, habits are built, and habits can be changed. This chapter is your step-by-step guide to building the action habit, making action your default mode, and creating routines that will support your goals and your dreams automatically, day after day. So, let's dive into the science of habit formation. How do habits actually work? And how can we use that knowledge to build action habits? There are several key strategies for habit formation, and we're going to explore some of the most powerful and effective ones. First up, the power of consistency. Consistency is absolutely crucial for habit formation. Your brain learns through repetition. The more consistently you perform a certain action, the stronger that habit becomes, the more automatic it becomes, the less willpower it requires. Think of it like carving a path in the snow. The first time you walk through fresh snow, it's hard work, right? You're pushing through resistance, making a new path. But the more times you walk that same path, the easier it becomes. The snow gets packed down, the path becomes clearer, and eventually you can walk that path almost effortlessly. Habit formation is similar. The first few times you try to build a new action habit, it might feel challenging. It might require conscious effort. But the more consistently you repeat that action, the easier it becomes, the more ingrained it becomes, the more like a well-worn path it feels in your brain. Start small, be consistent, and focus on repetition. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Pick one or two key action habits you want to build, and focus on doing them consistently, every day, even if it's just for a few minutes at first. Consistency trumps intensity when it comes to habit formation. Small, consistent actions, repeated day after day, will build stronger habits than sporadic bursts of intense effort. Another powerful habit-building strategy is habit stacking. Habit stacking is about linking a new habit you want to build to an existing habit you already have. It's about using your current routines as triggers for new, action-oriented habits. Think about your existing daily routines. What are the things you already do automatically, every day without thinking? Maybe you brush your teeth every morning. Maybe you make coffee. Maybe you check your email. Maybe you walk the dog. These are your existing habits. Habit stacking is about attaching your new action habit to one of these existing routines. For example, if you want to build a habit of writing for 15 minutes every day, you could habit stack it with your morning coffee routine. The trigger could be, after I finish my coffee, I will immediately write for 15 minutes. Or if you want to build a habit of exercising, you could habit stack it with your morning routine. After I brush my teeth, I will immediately put on my workout clothes. The key is to make the link clear and specific. After existing habit, I will new habit. By linking your new habit to an existing, automatic routine, you make it much easier to remember to do it. And you leverage the momentum of your existing habit to kickstart your new one. Habit stacking is like creating a chain reaction of positive habits, where one automatic action triggers the next, making it easier to build momentum and make action your default mode. Reward systems are also a powerful tool for habit formation. Your brain is wired to seek rewards. When you experience something pleasurable or rewarding, your brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, motivation, and learning. And your brain is more likely to repeat actions that are associated with dopamine release. You can use this to your advantage by creating reward systems for your action habits. Reward yourself, even in small ways, when you stick to your action habits, when you complete tasks, when you make progress towards your goals. Rewards don't have to be extravagant or expensive. They can be simple things like a few minutes of break time, listening to your favorite music, enjoying a healthy snack, spending time on a hobby you enjoy, or even just giving yourself verbal praise and recognition for your efforts. Experiment with different types of rewards to find what motivates you most effectively. And make sure the rewards are aligned with your goals and values. Don't reward yourself with procrastination traps like social media or mindless browse. Instead, choose rewards that are healthy, enjoyable, and that actually support your overall well-being. Reward systems help you create positive feedback loops for your action habits. They make taking action feel more pleasurable, more rewarding, and more motivating, making it more likely that you'll stick with your habits in the long run. And to really solidify those action habits, creating action routines and rituals can be incredibly helpful. Routines and rituals are basically pre-planned sequences of actions that you perform consistently, often at the same time and in the same way. They provide structure, predictability, and a sense of control, which can be especially helpful for procrastinators who often struggle with feeling disorganized and overwhelmed. Create a morning routine that sets you up for a productive day. This might include things like waking up at a consistent time, exercising, meditating, journaling, reviewing your goals for the day, and planning your time blocks. A consistent morning routine helps you start your day proactively, with intention and focus, rather than reactively, letting the day control you. Create a pre-work ritual to signal to your brain that it's time to focus and take action. This could be something simple like making a cup of tea, lighting a candle, putting on noise-canceling headphones, closing your email inbox, and taking a few deep breaths to center yourself. A pre-work ritual helps you transition from a state of rest or distraction into a state of focused work, making it easier to overcome that initial inertia and get started. Create evening routines to wind down and prepare for a restful night and a productive tomorrow. This might include things like reviewing your accomplishments for the day, planning for the next day, tidying your workspace, disconnecting from digital devices, and engaging in relaxing activities like reading or taking a bath. Evening routines help you end your day intentionally, reflect on your progress, and set yourself up for success the next day. Routines and rituals provide structure, predictability, and a sense of control, making it easier to consistently take action and build those action habits into your daily life. But even with the best habits and routines in place, setbacks will happen. Life is unpredictable. Things go wrong, motivation wanes, and you'll inevitably have days when you slip back into procrastination patterns. That's normal. Setbacks are not failures. They are simply part of the process. The key is not to avoid setbacks entirely. That's impossible. But to learn how to deal with them effectively and maintain your momentum, even when you stumble. Don't let setbacks derail you completely. When you experience a setback, don't beat yourself up about it. Don't let it spiral into a cycle of negative self-talk and discouragement. Acknowledge the setback, learn from it, and then gently redirect your focus back to your goals and your action habits. Treat setbacks as temporary bumps in the road, not as complete derailments. Get back on track quickly. Don't let a small slip-up turn into a full-blown procrastination relapse. The sooner you get back to your action habits after a setback, the easier it will be to maintain your overall momentum. Don't wait for the perfect moment to restart. Just start again, right now, with the very next micro-action. Focus on progress, not perfection. Remember, building action habits is a journey, not a destination. There will be ups and downs, progress and setbacks. Don't get discouraged by imperfections or occasional slips. Focus on the overall trend, on the long-term progress you're making, rather than getting fixated on minor stumbles along the way. Celebrate your overall progress and your resilience in the face of setbacks. Acknowledge how far you've come, how much you've learned, and how much stronger you're becoming in your ability to overcome procrastination. Celebrating milestones, both big and small, helps you stay motivated, maintain momentum, and view setbacks as temporary learning opportunities, rather than devastating failures. Remember this empowering message. Action is a muscle you can strengthen. Building action habits is like building muscle in the gym. It takes consistent effort, it takes repetition, it takes time, and there will be moments when it feels challenging. But with consistent practice, with strategic habit building, with effective reward systems, with supportive routines, and with a resilient mindset that embraces setbacks as learning opportunities, you can strengthen your action muscle. You can make action your default mode. You can build habits that will automatically propel you forward towards your goals and dreams, day after day, week after week, year after year. Start building those action habits today. Choose one or two key habits to focus on. Start small, be consistent. Use habit stacking and reward systems. create supportive routines, and learn to deal with setbacks effectively. Because building the action habit is the ultimate key to overcoming procrastination for good, and to living a life defined by consistent action, sustained momentum, and the ongoing achievement of your biggest dreams. Ready to start strengthening your action muscle and making action your default mode? Let's move on to our final chapter, where we'll explore how to connect action to your deepest purpose and passion, and truly live that action-oriented life to the fullest. Chapter 9: Beyond Productivity, Action with Purpose and Passion. So we've built action habits, we've tamed distractions, we've fueled our motivation engines. You've come so far in building your action-oriented life. But now, in Chapter 9, we're going to take it to a whole new level. We're going beyond just productivity, beyond just checking off boxes on a to-do list. We're going to talk about action with purpose, action with passion, action that truly aligns with your deepest values and your biggest dreams. Because let's face it, productivity for its own sake can feel empty. Just doing more, just being busy, just getting things done without a real sense of meaning behind it, that can actually lead to burnout, to feeling drained, to wondering, what's the point of it all? True fulfillment, lasting satisfaction, comes not just from doing more, but from doing what truly matters. And that's what this chapter is all about. Connecting your actions to something bigger than just tasks and deadlines. It's about infusing your actions with purpose, with passion, with a deep sense of meaning that fuels you from the inside out and makes every step you take feel more significant, more rewarding, and more aligned with the life you truly want to live. Because action, when it's connected to your purpose and passion, becomes so much more than just work. It becomes a source of joy, a path to fulfillment, and a way to create a life you absolutely love. And it all starts with connecting your actions to your values and your long-term goals. Think about your values. What truly matters to you in life? What principles do you stand for? What kind of person do you want to be? Your values are your internal compass, guiding you towards what's truly important. And think about your long-term goals. What are your biggest dreams, your aspirations, your visions for the future? What kind of life do you want to create for yourself in the long run? Your long-term goals give you direction. They give you something meaningful to strive for. They give you a sense of purpose beyond the day-to-day grind. Now, the key is to consciously connect your daily actions, even the small ones, to these bigger values and long-term goals. Don't just go through your day on autopilot, reacting to whatever comes your way. Instead, take a step back and ask yourself, how do my actions today align with my values? How are they contributing to my long-term goals? Even seemingly mundane tasks can become more meaningful when you see how they connect to something bigger. For example, if one of your values is helping others, then even answering emails or doing administrative tasks at work can be reframed as contributing to a larger purpose of supporting your team and serving your clients. If one of your long-term goals is to build a successful business, then even those small marketing tasks or networking activities become meaningful steps towards that bigger vision. When you see how your actions connect to your values and goals, your work becomes more meaningful. It shifts your motivation from just extrinsic rewards to a deeper, more intrinsic sense of purpose and alignment. And that leads us to finding meaning and purpose in your actions themselves. It's not just about the end result, the external achievement, the final destination. It's about finding meaning and satisfaction in the process itself, in the daily actions you take, in the work you do, in the journey itself. Because let's face it, life is mostly made up of the everyday moments, the daily actions, the small steps we take. If we're only focused on some distant future goal, if we're only finding meaning in the someday outcome, we're missing out on the potential for meaning and joy in the present moment, in the work we're doing right now. So, how do you find meaning in your daily actions? Start by focusing on the why behind what you do, as we talked about earlier. Connect your tasks to your values, your purpose, your bigger vision. But also focus on the how of what you do. Bring intention, presence, and mindful attention to your actions, even the seemingly small ones. Instead of just rushing through tasks mindlessly, try to be fully present in the moment, to engage your skills and your creativity, to find flow and enjoyment in the process itself. For example, if you're writing an email, don't just dash it off as quickly as possible. Take a moment to craft it thoughtfully, to communicate clearly and effectively, to connect with the person on the other end. If you're cleaning your workspace, don't just see it as a chore. See it as creating a more peaceful and productive environment for yourself. If you're exercising, don't just focus on the calories burned or the physical results. Focus on how your body feels, on the sense of energy and vitality you're cultivating, on the joy of movement itself. Finding meaning in your actions is about shifting your perspective from just seeing tasks as means to an end, to seeing them as opportunities for engagement, for growth, for contribution, for finding joy in the present moment. Bring purpose and passion to your everyday life, and even mundane tasks will feel more rewarding. And when you connect your actions to your purpose and passion, you're not just being more productive, you're actually using action to create a life you love. Think about it. Your life is built moment by moment, day by day, by the actions you take. Your habits, your choices, your daily activities, these are the building blocks of your life. And when you consciously align those actions with your values, your passions, your long-term goals, you're intentionally designing a life that you truly love, a life that feels authentic, meaningful, and deeply fulfilling. Action with purpose and passion isn't just about achieving external success. It's about creating internal fulfillment. It's about living a life that feels aligned with your true self, a life that resonates with your deepest values, a life that brings you joy and satisfaction, not just in the future, but in the present moment, in the daily actions you take. Think about the areas of your life where you want to create more love, more joy, more fulfillment. Maybe it's your work, your relationships, your health, your creative pursuits, your contributions to the world. Now ask yourself, what actions can I take consistently, intentionally, to create more of what I love in these areas? What small steps can I take today, this week, this month, to move closer to a life that truly excites and inspires me? It might be pursuing a passion project, spending more quality time with loved ones, prioritizing self-care, volunteering for a cause you believe in, learning a new skill that excites you, or simply making more conscious choices about how you spend your time and energy each day. Using action to create a life you love is about being proactive, intentional, and purposeful in your daily choices. It's about aligning your actions with your deepest desires and values, and consciously building a life that feels meaningful, joyful, and authentically yours. But as you pursue action with purpose and passion, it's also crucial to remember the importance of self-care and preventing burnout. Because even when you're doing work you love, even when you're fueled by intrinsic motivation, you can still push yourself too hard. You can still neglect your own needs. You can still burn out if you're not careful. Action with purpose and passion should be sustainable. It should be energizing. It should be life-giving, not draining and depleting. Self-care is not selfish. It's essential fuel for your action engine. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity for long-term success and well-being. Make self-care a non-negotiable part of your action-oriented life. Prioritize sleep, nutrition, exercise, and stress management. Make sure you're getting enough rest to recharge your batteries. Nourish your body with healthy food that fuels your energy. Move your body regularly to boost your mood and reduce stress. Practice stress-reducing techniques like mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, or spending time in nature. Schedule regular breaks and downtime into your day and your week. Don't try to work non-stop, pushing yourself to exhaustion. Breaks are not a sign of weakness. They are essential for maintaining focus, creativity, and long-term sustainability. Learn to say no to commitments that drain your energy or don't align with your priorities. It's okay to set boundaries, to protect your time and energy, to prioritize your own well-being. Saying no to things that don't truly matter frees up space for you to say yes to the things that do. Listen to your body and your mind. Pay attention to the warning signs of burnout, fatigue, irritability, cynicism, decreased motivation, feeling overwhelmed. If you notice these signs, take them seriously. Slow down, rest, recharge, and adjust your approach to prevent burnout from taking hold. Self-care is not just about preventing burnout. It's about fueling your passion, sustaining your energy, and making sure that your action-oriented life is also a joyful, balanced, and fulfilling life. So remember this inspiring message. Action is not just about doing more, but about doing what truly matters. It's not just about productivity for productivity's sake. It's about aligning your actions with your values, your passions, your purpose, and your long-term dreams. It's about finding meaning in your daily actions, using action to create a life you love, and prioritizing self-care to sustain your energy and prevent burnout. When you infuse your actions with purpose and passion, work transforms from a chore into a calling, from a burden into a joy, from a means to an end into a fulfilling journey in itself. Start connecting your actions to your why today. Reflect on your values, your passion, your long-term goals. Find meaning in your daily tasks. Use action to intentionally create a life you love. And remember to prioritize self-care along the way. Because living an action-oriented life isn't just about doing more. It's about living more fully, more purposefully, and more passionately. Ready to take your action revolution to the next level and live a life fueled by purpose and passion. Let's move on to our final chapter, where we'll bring it all together and empower you to embrace the power to change your life, starting today. Chapter 10, Your Action Revolution. Embrace the power to change your life. Congratulations, you've reached the final chapter. You've made it to Chapter 10, Your Action Revolution. Think about that for a moment. You've actually journeyed through this entire guide. You've explored the depths of procrastination. You've learned powerful strategies, and you've started to build the mindset of an action taker. That's a huge accomplishment in itself. Just by being here, by engaging with these ideas, by taking the time to understand yourself and procrastination, you've already begun to shift things. You're not the person who started this book. You're further down the path, you're more aware, you're more equipped, and you're absolutely ready to create real, lasting change in your life. Because this isn't just about finishing a book, it's about starting a revolution, your own personal action revolution. It's about taking everything you've learned and turning it into real-world action, into tangible results, into a life where you're in the driver's seat, not procrastination. Let's just take a quick moment to look back at the journey we've taken together. In Part 1, we unmasked the procrastination thief. We asked that tough question: is procrastination stealing your life? We dug deep to understand why we procrastinate, debunking those myths about laziness and willpower, and uncovering the real emotional drivers beneath the surface. And crucially, you started to know your enemy by identifying your own personal triggers and patterns. Then in Part 2, we moved into action. We built your step-by-step guide to taking control. We started with the power of the tiny step, those micro-actions that break the ice and get you moving. We learned to tame overwhelming tasks with smart task management, using time blocking, prioritization, and project breakdown. We built distraction defenses, reclaiming your focus in this noisy world. And we fueled your action engine, understanding motivation, building momentum, and cultivating a positive mindset. And now, here in Part 3, we've focused on living the action-oriented life for the long haul. We talked about building action habits, making action your default mode, creating routines and rituals that support you automatically. And in the last chapter, we went beyond just productivity, connecting action to your purpose and passion, finding meaning in what you do, and using action to create a life you truly love, while remembering the vital importance of self-care. That's a lot of ground we've covered, right? And it's all been leading to this moment, to this chapter, to your action revolution. Because this isn't just about reading and understanding, it's about doing. It's about taking all these insights, all these strategies, all these tools and putting them into practice consistently in your own life, starting right now. Think of this book as a step-by-step guide, a roadmap to overcoming procrastination and building an action-oriented life. But a roadmap is useless if you just leave it folded up in a drawer. A guide is only valuable if you actually use it to guide your steps. And that's what I'm urging you to do now. Take this guide, take these strategies, and start putting them into practice, step by step, day by day, week by week. Remember the power of the tiny step. That's where it all begins. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. Don't try to implement every single strategy perfectly, all at once. Just pick one tiny step you can take today, right now, towards living a more action-oriented life. Maybe it's identifying one procrastination trigger. Maybe it's breaking down one overwhelming task into micro-actions. Maybe it's blocking out 30 minutes in your calendar for focused work. Maybe it's turning off notifications on your phone for a few hours. Whatever it is, make it small, make it manageable. Make it something you can actually do today. And then celebrate that small win. Acknowledge your progress. And then take another tiny step tomorrow. And another the day after that. Consistency is key. Small, consistent actions repeated day after day will build momentum, will create lasting change, will transform your life step by step. And as you take these steps, as you start to implement these strategies, remember to celebrate your journey, celebrate your progress, celebrate every single win, no matter how small it may seem. Because overcoming procrastination is not a destination, it's a journey. There will be ups and downs, progress and setbacks, moments of triumph and moments of struggle. But every step forward, every moment of action, every time you choose to resist procrastination and take control, that's a victory worth celebrating. Acknowledge how far you've come. Look back at where you started, at the challenges you've faced, at the progress you've made. Give yourself credit for your efforts, for your resilience, for your commitment to change. And remember, even just reading this book, even just taking the time to learn and understand procrastination, that's already a significant step forward. You've invested in yourself, you've prioritized your growth, you've taken action to improve your life. That's something to be proud of. So, celebrate your journey, celebrate your progress, and use those celebrations to fuel your continued action and momentum. And now, it's time for your call to action. It's time to stop just reading and learning, and start truly living your action-oriented life. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Don't wait until you feel ready enough. Don't wait for some magical burst of motivation to strike. The perfect moment is now. Readiness comes from action, not the other way around. Motivation is built through momentum. through taking that first step, and then the next and the next. Today is the day to start living differently. Today is the day to embrace your action revolution. Today is the day to take back control from procrastination and start creating the life you truly desire. Choose action, choose progress, choose momentum, choose purpose, choose passion. Choose to live an action-oriented life, starting right now, in this moment, with your very next step. And as you step forward, remember this powerful, memorable message, the core truth that underlies everything we've explored in this book. You have the power to change your life. Procrastination is not a fixed character trait. It's a habit, a pattern of behavior, a set of learned responses. And habits can be changed. Patterns can be broken. Learned responses can be rewired. You are not stuck in procrastination. You are not defined by your past patterns. You have the power right now to choose action over inaction, to choose progress over paralysis, to choose momentum over stagnation. You have the power to build new habits, to cultivate a positive mindset, to connect with your purpose and passion, and to create a life defined by action, progress, and fulfillment. Embrace that power. Believe in your ability to change. Commit to taking action, step by step, day by day. And start living your action revolution today. The power to change your life is within you. Unlock it. Embrace it. And go create the life you were always meant to live. An action-oriented life, filled with purpose, passion, and the ongoing achievement of your biggest dreams. Your action revolution starts now.